Stay tuned for Untold book reviews from around the world. Hi, this is Sally's Book Club. Today we're discussing the Jacquinot Zone by American historian Rana Mitter. You're probably familiar with the Nanjing Safety Zone. After Japanese forces captured Nanjing, European expatriates established safety zones that protected many Chinese civilians during the massacre. John Rabe, known as the Oskar Schindler of the East, earned Chinese people's gratitude and respect. Few know foreigners had already created similar safety zones before Nanjing. The European community in Nanjing actually followed an existing model, the Nanking Safety Zone in southern Shanghai. This zone was created by French priest Father Jacquinot de Bessage. Father Jacquinot dedicated tremendous effort to its establishment. Even facing personal dangers, his zone saved hundreds of thousands of Chinese lives. This model was later incorporated into the 1949 Geneva Convention revisions, becoming foundational to modern wartime humanitarian rules. Regrettably, Jacquinot's contributions were largely forgotten due to various historical circumstances. It wasn't until Rana Mitter's book that this history resurfaced. First, let's understand author Rana Mitter and his motivation for writing this book. Rana Mitter is a researcher at the Library of Congress and expert on U.S.-China relations. His father lived in early 20th century Shanghai, sparking his interest in Republican-era Shanghai. His research on Chinese Revolution and foreign expatriates has been widely acclaimed. While researching, Mitter kept encountering the name Robert Jacquinot and his humanitarian deeds. Driven by curiosity, Mitter conducted global archival research to reconstruct Jacquinot's forgotten legacy. With this background, let's explore the book's content through 4 progressive questions. First, who was Robert Jacquinot? Why did he come to China? Second, what motivated him to establish the Jacquinot Safety Zone? Third, what efforts did Jacquinot make to maintain the safety zone's operation? Fourth, what legacy did Jacquinot leave? Why was such a figure forgotten? Following Mitter's research framework, we'll analyze these 4 questions sequentially. First, who was Robert Jacquinot? Why did he come to China? Born in Saint, France on March 15, 1878. Robert Jacquinot was his later Chinese name. His family moved to Lorraine during his childhood. Lorraine's strong Catholic tradition profoundly influenced young Jacquinot. At 16, he joined the Jesuit order and received rigorous education. Let's briefly explain the Jesuit background crucial to understanding his China mission. The Jesuit order, established in 1540 with papal approval. Within 400 years, Jesuits spread worldwide, including Asia and China. Famous Jesuit China missionaries include Matteo Ricci and Adam Shaw. Thus, Jesuits maintained deep historical ties with China. In 1913, Jacquinot arrived in Shanghai through Jesuit assignment. Jesuits required new missionaries to master local languages for effective ministry. Jacquinot immediately began intensive Chinese training at Agzugiaoui Church Complex. His Chinese name, Rao Jiaju, was adopted during this period. After language training, he became priest at Hangkou Sacred Heart Church. Hangkou District overlapped with today's boundaries in Shanghai's international settlement. Frequent interactions with Japanese residents helped him master Japanese. This linguistic skill proved crucial for later safety zone negotiations. From 1914 to 1934. Jacquinot served at Hongkou Church for 2 decades. He also taught English literature at Jesuit-founded Aurora University. Later, he also taught natural sciences. What impressions did colleagues and students have of Jacquinot? Many remembered Jacquinot as tall, handsome, athletic, and maniac. He was approachable with a constant smile, yet straightforward and responsible in speech. An avid poet, he left behind numerous literary works. Colleagues perceived him as confident, noble-mannered, and charming. This personality explains his later humanitarian actions for Chinese people. Starting in the 1920s, Jacquinot engaged in public welfare initiatives. During the 1932 January the 28th incident, he participated in civilian rescue operations. As tensions escalated, greater challenges awaited him. This brings us to the second question. What drove Jacquinot to establish the safety zone? The immediate context was the full-scale outbreak of the Second Sino-Japanese War. The Marco Polo Bridge incident on July 7, 1937, marked the war's beginning. The Battle of Shanghai erupted on August 13th, plunging the city into chaos. Shanghai's division into foreign concessions and Chinese-administered areas created refugee flows. Within 33 square kilometers of concessions, 500,000 refugees crowded in. By November 1937, 142 refugee camps in international settlement and 40 in French concession were established. Overcrowding caused food shortages and epidemic risks, forcing entry restrictions. Facing this crisis, Jacquinot proposed establishing safety zones in Chinese-administered areas. Why did Jacquinot take initiative when concession authorities remained passive? A crucial factor, Western powers maintained neutrality to avoid entanglement. Though accepting refugees, concession authorities avoided direct responsibility. They wanted third-party organizations, like the International Red Cross, to handle relief efforts. This made Jacquinot the perfect candidate for the task. What advantages did he possess? Firstly, his status as a priest carried no political affiliation. The Jesuits' political neutrality policy reassured Japanese authorities. Secondly, his philanthropic reputation made him influential in Shanghai. As vice chair of Shanghai International Red Cross, he had essential connections. His fluency in 4 languages enabled crucial communication. This allowed effective dialogue with both Chinese and Japanese authorities. Thirdly, he established clear non-combatant admission rules for the zone. Only unarmed civilians were permitted entry to maintain neutrality. This assurance prevented Japanese military opposition. Where did Jacquinot choose to establish the safety zone? He selected Nanjing District, Shanghai's historic old town. Located in modern Paxi's southwest, containing landmarks like Yew Garden. First reason, adjacent to French concession for logistical support. Second, less war damage compared to industrial Zhejiang district. Third, protecting refugees already gathering in Nanjing from artillery. The 10 square kilometer zone bordering French concession sheltered 250,000 refugees. Next challenge was obtaining approval from warring parties. Mediating between enemies required extraordinary diplomatic skills. Jacquinot's neutral foreign status proved vital in negotiations. He first leveraged concession authorities to contact Japanese forces. The safety zone served concession authorities' stability interests. Thus, the concession authorities agreed to assist. With French naval officials' mediation, Jacquinot met Japanese Admiral Hasegawa. He proposed the Nanking Safety Zone concept demanding Japanese non-aggression. Hasegawa promised to consult Tokyo authorities. Jacquinot declared he'd establish the zone regardless of Japan's response. Immediately forming Nanshi Supervisory Committee through his Red Cross position, subsequent negotiations with Shanghai Mayor Yu Hongjun produced formal agreement. A jointly signed letter defined zone boundaries and regulations. Japanese Consul General Okamoto forwarded terms to Tokyo. Japan conditionally approved with 3 stipulations. One zone must remain adjacent to French concession without expansion. 2. Chinese military prohibited from entering. 3. Japanese control upon Nanshi occupation. Though humiliating, China monetized refugee protection. Jacquinot persuaded Mayor Yu to accept terms under protest. China insisted on maintaining police authority within zone. 200 Chinese police with limited weapons would patrol. Japan tacitly accepted this compromise. With mutual consent achieved through Red Cross mediation, the neutral-named Jacquinot Safety Zone became operational. Officially established November 8, 1937, protecting 250,000 civilians. Meanwhile, some refugees from international settlement relocated to the safety zone, though maintaining it proved challenging. From its inception, Jacquinot faced multiple crises threatening the zone's operation. This leads to the third question. What efforts sustained the zone's operation? Challenges fell into 2 categories, external and internal threats. The primary external threat remained active warfare. 3 days post-establishment, Japanese forces attacked Nanshi on November the 11th. Wooden structures in Nanshi made the area vulnerable to incendiary bombings. Though not directly targeted, spreading fires endangered the safety zone. Jacquinot organized firefighting teams to contain outbreaks. Their efforts prevented major casualties within the zone. Notably, Jacquinot remained stationed at the zone's church headquarters throughout. Stray artillery shells frequently flew overhead during combat operations. His calm leadership provided crucial reassurance to refugees. After Shanghai's fall, Japanese military demanded control of the zone. They insisted on replacing Chinese police with their military police. Though opposed, Jacquinot reluctantly allowed limited Japanese presence. On December the 4th, Japanese troops raided the zone under false pretenses. They questioned the zone's necessity post-battle, threatening closure. Jacquinot's Japanese fluency proved vital during crisis negotiations. He leveraged Shanghai's international community as diplomatic leverage. Japan hadn't yet entered war with Western powers and maintained diplomatic image concerns. Jacquinot's French nationality and concession backing gave him leverage with Japanese forces. His proposals couldn't be casually ignored by Japanese military leaders. Jacquinot meticulously employed diplomatic negotiation techniques. He maintained humanitarian neutrality in talks, carefully avoiding political alignment through measured language.
This required concealing his personal condemnation of the war.
The pragmatic approach yielded successful outcomes, combining unique status with negotiation skills. Jacquinot preserved committee administration of the zone. Japanese compliance temporarily resolved external pressures. Internal crises centered on refugees' survival necessities.
The zone housed 250,000 refugees, including 100,000 destitute. Refugees from fallen coastal cities like Tianjin swelled numbers.
Demographics showed 49% workers, 13% farmers, with others, including students.
War left them unemployed and starving without shelter.
December's freezing temperatures worsened the clothing shortage crisis. The committee converted schools and temples into emergency shelters. 104 refugee camps operated within the safety zone. 9 administrative districts with elected Chinese supervisors improved management. Each district established departments handling registration, housing, and medical care.
Acute shortages of food and clean water became critical challenges.
Jacquinot secured daily water rations from French concession authorities. He established 24 water purification stations through Chinese relief organizations. Meanwhile, Jacquinot sourced food from concession authorities and Western charities, providing 2 steamed buns and crackers daily. French concession residents spontaneously delivered food to the zone.
But Jacquinot knew this couldn't sustain 250,000 refugees. He observed stronger refugees hoarding food while vulnerable groups starved.
He implemented 2 countermeasures: public appeals for aid and establishing 24 rice distribution centers, communal kitchens. Refugees received rice ration coupons through systematic distribution. Mobile teams delivered meals to disabled, infirm refugees via tricycles. With food, water secured, winter clothing became the next crisis.
Red Cross provided limited blankets and coats, insufficient for meals.
Clothing committee formed under Zhu Yixin from Jinling College. Zhu secured donations from Hong Kong and Singapore through connection. 40,000 coats distributed in safety zone, plus 17,000 to international settlement. Jacquinot's efforts achieved remarkable success. His work saved hundreds of thousands, earning high praise. Chiang Kai-shek and Sun Meiling personally thanked him. Jacquinot proposed an ambitious U.S. fundraising campaign. Departing May 2nd, 1938, he traveled via Canada to the U.S. Met Stanley Hornbeck at U.S. State Department advocating for aid. French ambassador facilitated successful meeting with FDR on May 26th. FDR approved $700,000 relief through American Red Cross. This meeting boosted Jacquinot's confidence to launch a national campaign. He innovated fundraising through charity dinners called Bowls of Rice Banquets. For $6 donation, attendees enjoyed 7-course meals funding Chinese refugees. Jacquinot emphasized $1 could sustain 1 refugee's monthly needs. Thousands of banquets nationwide raised $1 million through United China Relief. FDR's son, James Roosevelt, chaired the organization, waiving administrative fees. Jacquinot toured eastern Midwestern states, raising additional $320,000. Returning to Shanghai in July 1938, his achievements included 1. Substantial financial aid for Chinese civilians. 2. Global exposure of Japanese atrocities and Chinese resistance. Jacquinot continued. Managing the safety zone. Post-return. As war moved inland, refugee numbers dwindled to 15,000 by June 1940.
Was this mission completed, the safety zone closed permanently?
The Jesuit order recalled Jacquinot to France for unclear reasons. Historian Rana Mitter speculates political involvement concerns motivated recall. Jesuit tradition prohibited political engagement conflicting with zone management. WWIR's outbreak in Europe, September 1939, influenced his return decision. As French citizen, Jacquinot felt duty to return during Homeland Crisis.
On June 16, 1940, Jacquinot departed Shanghai for France 3 days after Nazi Germany occupied Paris and France surrendered. One can imagine his heavy heart during this voyage.
Back in France, his post-war activities remained low profile. Having spent decades in China, he lacked local connections for significant impact.
Father Jacquinot passed away September 10, 1946, at age 68.
Having covered his remarkable legacy, we examine his lasting impact and obscurity. Fourth question: what was Jacquinot's legacy? Why was he forgotten? His greatest achievement was operationalizing safety zones at scale. While not inventing the concept, he proved its viability, saving 250,000 lives. Subsequent zones in Nanjing and Hankou protected over 500,000 civilians. The 1949 Geneva Convention codified safety zone protocols using his model. Major powers, including China and Japan, ratified these conventions.
Despite this institutional legacy, public memory faded compared to Schindler.
Reasons include his early death and lack of advocacy network. European unfamiliarity with Asian theater also contributed. Schindler's fame benefited from Jewish diaspora's global influence. Jewish director Spielberg's Schindler's List brought global attention to Holocaust heroism.
Those saved by Jacquinot lacked comparable global influence to Jewish communities. China's limited post-war international voice further obscured his legacy. Modern media neglect condemned him to historical obscurity.
This concludes our book summary. Final recap. Father Jacquinot served 27 years in China since 1913. His Nanking Safety Zone saved approximately 250,000 lives during WWII. His U.S. fundraising campaign supported Chinese resistance efforts. Inspired safety zones nationwide protected 500,000 civilians. The 1949 Geneva Conventions institutionalized his humanitarian model.
Despite these achievements, historical neglect persists.
Historian Rana Mitter's archival work revived his legacy. This concludes our discussion of the Jacquinot Zone. Study notes available below. Until next time.